It's a rainy Friday night. What are your plans? Dinner and drinks with your adult friends?
No.
Date night with that special someone?
Not tonight.
Bar hopping with all of your college friends?
Oh, definitely not.
Chinese takeout, wine, and getting caught up with a late 90s teen melodrama that you haven't seen in years?
This is perfect. In the last 15 years, Netflix has reinvented the way people all over the world experience movies and television. In the third quarter of a record high sales and stock year, CEO Reed Hastings announced that the company would be restructuring their prices and packages. This meant more gross income for Netflix, but also more headache and more money for its rapidly growing worldwide customer base. The announcement was made, a consumer uproar ensued, and eventually Hastings was forced to issue a public apology and retract the decision. Irving Goffman and William Benoit ideas on impression management show us how Netflix could have avoided this communication slip-up and the poor efforts to fix it in the following months. In an effort to increase revenue and further its hold in the marketplace, Reed Hastings announced that Netflix would be separating its unlimited streaming and DVD rental and adding a video game rental option. The DVDs and games would be available on a separate site, Quickster. Now, instead of a flat rate for unlimited everything, customers would have to decide between simply just streaming movies and television shows and renting movies or video games. The DVD rental plan started with a price of $7.99 and increased according to the number of DVDs a person would like to rent. This change sent the company's customer base into a full-blown frenzy. Facebook groups, Twitter followers, and blog supporters showed their disapproval for this inconvenient and unwelcome change in their Netflix experience. In an attempt to save face, Reed Hastings issued what some called a haphazard apology on the company-run blog. Rather than say the company would not be going through with the changes, which is what customers wanted to hear, Hastings said that they should have been more clear in the explanation of why the changes were being made versus just dropping the bomb on customers. He went on to speak in detail about the change using numbers and market share speak that the majority of users were not interested in hearing. In the end, Netflix lost over 800,000 customers, and its stock dropped from $300 a share to just $75 in the third quarter because of the change. While Hastings did eventually close the door on having a separate website for DVD rentals and games, customers are still forced to have two separate subscriptions for their unlimited online streaming and their rentals. Either way, as of 2014, Netflix has over 30 million customers in the United States and worldwide, and their hold on Wall Street is growing stronger than ever. The problem we will address is the contrast between what Hastings always said he wanted to do with Netflix and how the sudden change in pricing and plans and empty apology made the company look to customers. Impression management is loosely defined as people or organizations deliberately using communication to create a desired impression of themselves. In a time when Blockbuster and Hollywood Video were charging between $4 and $5 for movies and games and issuing outlandish late fees, Netflix gave customers a way out. They portrayed themselves as a company that cared about the customer's wallet and convenience. They created ads and commercials that stressed the simplicity and cost effectiveness of the product. This relates to Goffman's concept of framing. While some would wonder why they should wait a few days for a DVD or two in the mail, Netflix framed their product as convenient. Why pay $15 to $20 for one night and four movies that you'll have to return in 3 days, when you can pay $15, rent the same four movies, and keep them as long as you want without fear of a late fee? Or, in current times, why pay the same amount when you can simply log into your computer and have unlimited access to past and present television shows and movies for a flat rate of $7.99 every month? The frame built with simplicity, common sense, and cost effectiveness appealed to customers and sent Netflix to the top of the list. With Hastings' apology, we see him attempting to save face by reminding customers of the great deal and convenience Netflix has always provided and will continue to provide. He starts off well enough by sort of saying, "I'm sorry," and reminding customers of the great job the company has done at beating competitor pricing and product and catering to customer needs. However, this transition into a monologue about the particulars of the change did more harm than good because the average consumer isn't interested in the why. They're resistant to change and they will expect the same level of service they've received all along. First, let's take a look at what Hastings did. He used a combination of tactics Benoit labeled bolstering and good intent. This means that he stressed the company simply meant to make things easier for all of their customers and also effective for their business. Also, he called attention to Netflix's dedication to giving customers the lowest rate in the market for unlimited streaming. Reporter Patricio Robles called Hastings' apology a good idea but bad execution. It's important when restoring images and issuing apologies that the speaker is aware of the audience and the relevance of the issue. Hastings failed to realize that his audience was used to the simplistic and cost-effective image they'd been portraying all along. By issuing a rushed change in process and a policy and confusing policy explanation, Netflix completely baffled and even lost some customers. It's important to anticipate various stages of possible fallout. Netflix released the changes and then backed into the shadows. The customers were left wondering how this would affect their monthly expenses and questioning if the site was even worth the money they're spending. In an age where everything is digital, perhaps an online walkthrough or a video of the changes would have been more effective than customers having to seek out and read Hastings' rushed apology filled with business terms and ill-fated attempts at consoling them. Additionally, awareness of who your audience is always important. Interpersonal theory suggests that each stakeholder be identified and analyzed so that the messages and actions can be developed to cater to their needs and continue to build effective relationships. Hastings openly admitted that they'd gotten by without open two-way communication between corporate and the consumers. In the future, he will want to use a different approach. Perhaps you're thinking, it was only 800,000 customers, a mere drop in the bucket of 30 million. However, let's assume that those 800,000 customers were paying the base rate of $7.99 every month. That's a total of $76,704,000 in losses for the year. Reality is, no business wants to willingly lose that much money under any circumstances. And while Netflix decided not to separate the company, they did incorporate the new DVD rental policies and prices. Customers eventually retreated to their living rooms and continued streaming. They were even joined by another 600,000 in the second quarter of 2012. Still, this hiccup in communication could have been avoided if Hastings and his team were more aware of their publics and were quicker to address the concerns they would have with such a big change right away. It pays to know your audience. In fact, it pays $76,704,000.